This is the last take that we're doing on this. Just FYI. So
She said that 3 times.
Whatever comes out, this is it. I'm done. So, welcome to the second episode of Blood Beneath the Moss. We're your hosts,
Abby
and Sammy. This podcast focuses on cold cases aiming to shed light on mysteries that are still unsolved. We are both true crime fanatics, listening to podcasts, to watching all the true crime documentaries we can get our hands on. So I hope we do you guys justice. We believe that all the ghosts of the cold cases deserve to be recognized and brought to light again. So in that instance, in this episode, we're going to be talking about the Jeff Davis 8. This happens right around my hometown. I remember seeing this on KPLC News. It's in all the newspapers, and of course, it was the talk of the whole parish. Apparently, we have a mascot. If you heard the that was my cat. I can honestly say it was a scary period of time just because of how it was all very young women. As a young girl at the time in junior high and high school, it changed the whole vibe of the small town life. It was a slow-paced lifestyle back then. And as cliche as it sounds, people really did leave their doors unlocked. You know, the kids were out until the streetlights came on. And no one really knew a stranger. At least that's how I remember it. And the shitty part about it, all of this, is that the media and the police force lost these women because they were not of high society. They were from the wrong side of the tracks, as they would say. So a little backdrop of where I come from. It's like a set of unwritten rules that most every small town life has. Rule number 1, your last name is everything. That last name comes with money and power in small town politics. Rule number 2, better be smart and get out while the getting's good. Rule number 3, perception is reality and reality is everything. Rule number 4, if you know something that you should not know, no you don't. It'll come out in the wash. So now that we have these rules, let's get down to brass tacks. We're going to set the scene of Southwest Louisiana, a small town life. It's a rural area filled with rice fields, cows, small town country squares, and a place where everyone knows everyone and they know all your business. And I do mean all your business. So with that in mind, how is it that 8 women end up dead and no one knows who did it? Or do they? This cold case mostly takes place in a small town of Jennings, Louisiana. We'll dive into police corruption, informant murders, evidence tampering, personal and impersonal killings, racism, and whether it's one murderer or multiple. This is a complete and tangled mess of circumstances and situations. The killer, whomever that is, knows the area. They know their audience. They know where they can move without being caught. And that's stupid suspicious if you ask me.
Yes.
Now it's time for the nitty-gritty. So here's your trigger warning. The words used to describe to what happened to these women are intense and somewhat downright immoral. These women are from the wrong side of the tracks, the south side of J-Town. The crackheads, the dopeheads, the prostitutes, the disposable beings of Jennings society. Not everybody in the world is born with the same set of opportunities that some are born with in small town life. The small town life in Southwest Louisiana puts you into categories. Old money, old names. Popular people in high school fit into this category. It's like your jocks, your cheerleaders. They run into the small town politics. They'll go for police officers or the charity event runners. You know, the good old boys and girls. Next, you have your farmers and your oil field workers and your refinery hands. The blue-collared men and women. Next, the riffraff. These guys come from across the tracks. These are the ones everyone tells you to stay away from because they're bad news. This is where our victims come from. The category that they were shoved into due to circumstances that led to decisions made which put our victims at a high-risk level. The former sheriff, Ricky Edwards, described these young women as. Like, he didn't even refer to them as human beings. He just referred to their high-risk lifestyles.
He's going to refer to them in a lot of ways that's going to piss you off because it pissed us off.
And did. I'm going to say on record of my own opinion, due to their lifestyles, does not diminish them as human beings. They were mothers, they were wives, daughters, friends, and someone's loved ones. No matter what, these women mattered to someone, and that's all we're trying to get through. It's been over 20 years for some and close to that for others. These loved ones and family members deserve justice and peace for their loved ones. So say their names with me. We have Loretta Chasson, Ernestine Patterson, Kristen Gary Lopez, Whitney Dubois, Lakana Muggy Brown, Crystal Shea Benoit Zeno, Brittany Gary, and Nicole Gilry. 8 souls, 8 murdered lives, 8 loved ones, and absolutely no answers. I'm going to name off each victim and some known facts about them that was according to the reports, along with the recollection of family interviews, some of my personal
connections.
Yes, and some of the things that I remember. Not all of this is going to be in my words, so please keep that in mind. I'm not talking.
There's a lot of quotes that we found to use in this.
Yes. This might be triggering to some. Like I said, this isn't all my words, but what I found, this is what we found about each of the women. So the first victim was Loretta Chasson, aka Loretta Lynn Chasson Lewis. She was 28 years old. Last seen on May 17th of 2005. Her body was found May 20th of 2005. Loretta was found by a fisherman in a canal off of Highway 26. Before he even casts his line, he spots something in the water. At first, he believes it to be a mannequin moving about the water. He states that this was his initial thought because days prior, there were several mannequins that were stolen and it was all over the news. He said as he looked closer, he quickly realized that a plastic mannequin would not be attracting a large swarm of flies that were ascending onto this in the water. He then calls local authorities within minutes and says that law enforcement of JD Sheriff's Office start to arrive. When the police and coroner arrive on site, they had to move the body completely to the other side to get her onto the banks. Once Loretta is on the banks, the reports say that she is mostly clothed, wearing jeans and a white shirt, but it said that she had nothing else on her. No ID, no purse, nothing at all. Within the few days of the time that she was last seen to when her body was found, they said that her body was so badly decomposed that the police officers wouldn't allow the family to see her, identify her, or even put, eyes on her. Her funeral was held with a mandatory closed casket. She is said to have known something was going to happen to her when her and her friend went to the bar, and she sent her away with her purse and said, "Go put it in the top of my mama's closet. Something happens, it's there." How do you know something's going to happen to you before it happens?
You know something you shouldn't.
Exactly. All the members who have known her have come forward, say that she did have a history of mental illness. She'd had health problems, and she also had a habitual drug usage problem. I go to look at all these women, and I go to pull up their death records, and that should be public knowledge for their causes of death and stuff like that. Nothing's found. There's nothing. And in it cites that records were lost due to something at the top in red. I don't exactly remember what it's quote, but I remember sending you that.
Yes.
So
on the actual Jefferson Davis Sheriff's page, it says they were lost due to whatever the incident was. I don't remember. But regardless, that doesn't make sense, because it's not just the first victim. It's every single victim. In this case, you can find absolutely nothing other than a hot case file on each one of these women for the Jefferson Davis Sheriff's Office. And it's literally just their name, birth date, last day they were seen, when they were found, and their age. That is it. Well, and their ethnicity, but that
doesn't matter.
There's nothing else about it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. An old picture of each woman.
That's actually their driver's license picture.
Is it their driver's? Yeah. I kind of wondered. They were all, yeah. But that's it. That's suspicious as shit when you're looking at police corruption. I'm just saying.
And what gets me is, I know where these girls come from. So, I know people who have passed away from the area. Mm-hmm. And so, just for reference, I have looked them up past that, and I can see their causes of death.
But you can't see theirs.
I can't see the victims.
Suspicious.
And I don't know if that's due to it being an ongoing investigation.
Even if it is ongoing, it's as simple as a Freedom of Information Act, and they still have to release that kind of stuff. That's the thing. Anyway.
Fishy, fishy, fishy. Loretta Chasson was a mother of 2. She was a wife, she was a daughter, and a friend to many. Her family says she was always smiling and so full of laughter. And that's what we're trying to focus on, is that these women were people. They weren't trash like the media and the police officers like portrayed them to be.
They tried to,
Yeah.
Our second victim was Ernestine Patterson. She was last seen June 16th of 2005, and her body was found on June 18th of 2005. She was just 30 years old. Ernestine was found by a group of froggers in an irrigation ditch just 6 miles away from where Loretta was found. She was found off Highway 102. From my findings, she does not fit the normal clique of what research deemed as Frankie's girls. And we'll kind of discuss Frankie
Later
as
on.
we go further in, and you'll see the intertwining of him with many of these girls. Her case could not be argued, and it was blatantly obvious that she was in fact murdered since her throat was slit. The coroner also reported bruising on her hands and around her wrist, to me showing a very strong potential that she fought hard for her life.
She fought her ass off. If there's bruising, and let's keep in mind, it isn't like it would show up like for us being that we're white ethnicity. Miss Patterson was African American.
So she fought hard. She took a lot. When she was found, she also was in extreme decomposition within 2 days from when she was last seen and when she was found.
Now, coming from a Louisiana native, it is hotter than the devil's ball sack down there. Like, no bullshit. During the summer, it is hot. But even if she was in the water, in the canal, I understand that there is going to be things that pop up, like with the critters, the alligators, the crawfish, or whatever the case may be. They play a factor into that, but it's not going to be to that point of you not being able to recognize who she is as a person. I'm going to state that. In my opinion, I don't believe that she was that badly decomposed.
Yes. Like the earlier victim, a tox screen revealed she had drugs in her system, and it was also revealed by associates of Ernestine that she too was a sex worker and she partook in illicit drug usage as well. Now, a sex worker in the sense, but not like the other women in this case. She made her money in other ways. This was just kind of an extra little thing to get her by a little more. The town rumors suggest she was out the night of her murder looking for potential clients, and that she allegedly slept with a man named Byron Chad Jones. And his friend Lawrence Nixon was also there. However, they're unclear if Ernestine had slept with Nixon as well, or if it was just, Byron. They also suggest that these two men killed her and dumped her body in the canal. Lawrence's then wife eventually came forward to authorities that both men had showed up to her house the evening it's suspected Ernestine was murdered. They showed up with an industrial-sized trash bag soaked in blood that seemed to be filled with a large unknown object. These men left the blood-soaked bag on the porch for a while, and during this time, she alleges that one or both, doesn't really say which one, told her that they in fact killed Ernestine and they had placed her in the trash bag with the intention of disposing of her body when they left her house. She also admits that after these men left with Ernestine's body, she hosed down that porch, covered in her blood, after she knew what they had done to destroy evidence. Through the town gossip mill, Byron and Lawrence allegedly left a jagged, blood-covered hunting knife in an abandoned house on the south side of Jennings. It's obvious that this rumor, just like Lawrence's wife's statement, were never taken seriously by the JD Sheriff's Department. It took 16 months before they would even consider her story, search her porch, anything. They even removed it. But there's never any report of them ever searching this abandoned house they claim this hunting knife was in. She is one of the 2 African American victims in this case. Again, why this seemed so personal. These women were the only women to have their throats cut with an obvious sign of death. The research we have obtained, it took 3 months to verify the body before she was released to her family. And again, no death records or anything could be found for her. She was a mother of 4. Her family stated that she wasn't a bad person. She never got into trouble with the law. Her family is completely devastated that it has been so long since the murder took place, and they still have no peace. It will be 2 years at this point before the next murder.
There's that cooling off period.
Yes.
Kristen Gary Lopez, last seen on March 6th of 2007. Body found March 18th of 2007. She was 21 years old. She was still a baby.
Yes.
Kristen was found in a Welsh canal off of Highway 99. She was found with crack cocaine in her system, as well as other drugs. I think it was like benzos or something like that.
I think so, yeah.
She was found mostly nude. She was only identified from dental records and her tattoos, according to a local source. We're going to keep that one anonymous. Another mandatory closed casket. She was the most decomposed of the women so far, which tracks with the coroner estimating her being in the water for at least 10 days. Now, this makes more sense because she has been in the water for so long. She was so far decomposed, they think it's asphyxiation or drug usage is mentioned, but there's no official cause of death being able to prove because of how bad she was in decomposition. Kristen had been interviewed by police on the first victim, Loretta Chasson's death. On the day she went missing, it has stated that she was also seen hanging out with Loretta's cousin, Tracy Chasson. When Tracy was interviewed, she gave several different stories of events over multiple different interviews. On multiple accounts, it has been noted that Kristen was involved with a notorious pimp in the area named Frankie Richard. There's that name again.
Yep.
On a sexual level. Tracy initially tells the authorities that her and Kristen had gone to see Frankie at a hotel he was staying in, and it's reported and corroborated by Richard himself that they did show up to his hotel room, but he kicked him out after accusing them of stealing something from him. From the research that we did, she was very rambunctious. Like, she was a very outgoing individual. She lived a freestyle lifestyle, which at 21, we all did.
Yeah.
Let's
Absolutely.
be honest. I didn't listen to not anything anybody told me because I thought I was grown. She was known for going on benders and getting wild, which, so be it. You like it, I love it for you. You live your life how you want to live it. Her daddy has been on file to the public to state that he and his daughter has smoked crack together, but he also stated in the same aspect she needed to slow her roll right before she died. And that's crazy. Like, I couldn't imagine my daddy telling me something like that.
I can't imagine doing drugs with my daddy. I'm just gonna say that.
No.
No.
Not ever. Never ever. I have heard from local sources, which asked to remain anonymous, and we're going to keep it as such, that they knew her personally. They have all stated, yes, she was a bit wild, but not the way the media portrayed her to be.
You're 21 years old.
You're going to have fun.
You're going to be wild. You're going to do
things
what
that
older people consider dumb, reckless, whatever. She was 21 years old. Of course she's going to have a little fun.
Yeah. They all stated she was a bit wild, but not the way the media portrayed her to be. Kristen Lopez was also present for a previous crime that had tied her to other victims, Whitney Dubois and Loretta Chasson, which there is the underlying web of circumstances that make it hard to believe that these murders weren't planned out any further that the media has led us to believe. I think it was more personal.
Yeah.
I think it was like these girls...
They knew something they weren't supposed to, and someone didn't want it to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure it's someone we've already talked about.
Pretty sure so. If not, somebody are.
Mm-hmm.
On more than one occasion, these women were all together. So what did these women know? Like, they had to have known something. Sheriff Ricky Edwards has been known to visit these three victims.
Pretty did.
I bet so. My questions state, what were the natures of these visits? Why did he want to speak to these women? Was it just him and them alone? Publicly? Privately? I have questions. And no one was willing to give me any answers when I was digging up on this stuff.
No. Our fourth victim, Whitney Dubois. She was last seen on May 10th, 2007, and her body was found on May 12th, 2007. Whitney was just 26 years old. She was found on a crossroad by Duhan Road. She was completely nude when found. The man who supposedly found her knew about her being in the middle of the road. Noted in one of the documentaries that you listened to, her body was found less than 48 hours after she was last reported being seen. Like the other victims, her cause of death is undetermined, and again, also known as a sex worker. She also had connections to the other victims as they ran in the same circles, and they all had connections to Frankie Richard.
Richard?
I said Richard.
You did not. Richard. That's what you said. I heard it. I seen it.
Retard.
Allegedly.
Anyway, Frankie Richard pops up again in the investigation as he is confirmed the last person to see Whitney alive. Whitney is known to run in circles with Kristen Gary Lopez, as stated previously. I've noticed by the time we have gotten to this victim that these reports become less personal about these women and more about the lifestyle. That shouldn't matter. I don't care what you do to earn your money. You are still a fucking person. Exactly. And you should be treated as such.
Exactly.
When previous reporters spoke to her family, not only were her family members shocked, but they all had nothing but loving things to say about her. They didn't look at her addictions or use of her skills, so to speak, as we call, but still showed her love and compassion that she deserved. One family member quoted that it truly does not hit home until it happens to you. Whitney was a mother, daughter, and a loving family member. So in 20 years, with as many family members that has basically spelled it out for police and what truly happened, why are we still coming up short for these women? Is it because they are the low end of Jennings society? Would this have been the case if it was someone with a high-end name? How is this fair to anyone who has lost someone cruelly? These women were stripped down as if they were trash, stuck to the bottom of someone's boot, and thrown away like trash.
It's heartbreaking. Lakana Muggy Brown, last seen May 27th of 2008. Body found May 29th of 2008. Age 23. Now, I'm going to say this. I can't butcher Miss Brown's name any more than I already have. So I'm going to refer to her as Muggy or Miss Brown from this point on because I don't want to do her any injustice.
Yes.
My tongue does not roll that way and I speak cursive. So, Miss Brown lived with her grandparents. From all the sources I have sourced, she knew her end was coming and it was coming up quick. The night Miss Brown disappeared, she was headed over to a friend's house. They were cooking gumbo. Miss Brown had made a statement to her grandmother that would give anyone chills, like send chills straight down your spine, like frissons and consons. It's just no, She asked her grandmother to raise her son if anything were to happen to her. And I'm sorry, I think I would have lost my shit at that point.
Absolutely.
And as fate would have it, Miss Brown was found in the early morning hours on Rockall Road. But unlike the other victims, Muggy is found in the middle of the roadway, fully clothed, except her shoes. She had multiple cuts on the front of her neck, several behind her right ear, and it also appears that bleach was poured on her body. One only can assume that it was done to potentially eliminate any possible DNA that evidence could have been used. And to paint a picture of this place, it's in the middle of nothing. There's not a whole lot around. And I've been on Rockall Road. I know where that's at. I have seen it, laid eyes on it, whole 9 yards. There is fields for days, a couple of houses along the way, but they're stretched out. Now, here's where I think who's ever killing these women had a tad bit of racism in them. And I'm going to say him, because if you look back at all like true crime documentaries and we're buffs, women tend to not use violence. They tend to use poison, strategy. They use to their strengths, and that's not with violence. Miss Brown is another African-American victim. She also had her throat slit. The rest of the bodies where the cause of deaths were different or undetermined. You know, you can't say that it isn't because it's literally shouting. This is racism right here. Because both of these black women had something against them.
Yes.
And that's heart-wrenching. Now I'm going to say, again, as a Jeff Davis native, it is hot 11 months out the year. And 2 days is all she was missing for. And the police state that her body was so badly decomposed that she is unrecognizable. I don't believe that. Miss Brown's family at first thought that this was the work of a serial killer, but later changed their mind into thinking that it was something a bit more sinister. Miss Brown leaves behind a loving son and 2 loving grandparents. At this point in the case, we are on victim number 5. 5 women who lost their souls. They ran in similar circles, but they all meant the world to someone. And I will keep saying this throughout the whole episode because, again, you're a human being. You deserve to have respect. And with the number of victims, the community is out to the point for blood and answers. They don't care where it comes from. They don't care. They want to know what's happening to their babies, their loved ones, their hearts, their souls. Because at one point in time, these girls weren't defined by the work that they did.
Yep.
They weren't defined by the things that they put in their bodies. They were defined as, that's my little girl.
Yep.
You get to watch and the giggles and the memories and everything of that nature. You can't define them of what they done.
No. You wouldn't define a person like that if they were from the other side of the tracks.
No, not at all.
Victim number 6, Crystal Shea Benoit Zeno. She was last seen August 29th of 2008, and her body was not found until September 11th of 2008. She was just 24 years old.
Now I'm going to interject on this one.
I'm going to let her tell.
Just a little bit, and then I'm going to hand it back over. I actually know Crystal's daughter, Amani. Her adopted brother is my ex.
Mm-hmm.
I'd hear tidbits about the story, and I can honestly say that from everything that I know, Crystal wanted to be a mom above anything, and her daughter Amani has turned out to be a beautiful human being. And what's crazy to me is that knowing everything I know from when she went missing to where I actually finally got to meet Amani, that hit that baby so hard because she felt like she couldn't...
Understandably, yes.
Define... Like, now granted, her adopted mom, and I'm going to say adopted, Reagan's great. Reagan is a beautiful human being. Her dad, Amani's dad, beautiful human being. You know, the fact that Amani gets up every day, yes, she wishes she got the chance to know her mama, but in the same aspect, she doesn't let that define her. She's still just such a light. But anyway, I'm done with that.
Crystal was last seen at the Sonic Drive-In in Lake Arthur, Louisiana. Crystal had worked at that Sonic up until she and her daughter had moved from Lake Arthur to Jennings in May of 2008. Her body was discovered on LaCour
Levy Road.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
A dry canal off Highway 1126 near a wooded area by hunters who reported smelling something foul. Her body was not identified for almost 2 months. It wasn't until November 7th of 2008. Her cause of death is listed as undetermined as well, but it's believed she was likely asphyxiated like the other women. Several rumors say she was last seen at the Phillips 66 gas station where she was reportedly trying to call an officer directly to offer information about the other victims. However, no records or articles have been found to support this rumor, so her official last known location is that Sonic in Lake Arthur. Crystal was found in a dried out irrigation canal. She was partially nude, and at this point of finding her, severely decomposed. It'd been several days, even in the dry canal in the heat, like Sammy talks about. We dug a little bit deeper into this one. And with that being said, I had somewhat of a brief I'm reading her thing.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah.
Okay, so
Sorry.
Since I dug a tad bit deeper into this one with having the brief connection with her daughter, sweetheart, complete doll of a human being, I looked into Crystal's crime scene photos. I was able to look into that. I don't recommend anyone going searching for something like that. It's stuck in my brain. I feel like I could tell like it was a female from just looking at them, but I might be biased on this one just because like I'm going in knowing who I'm looking at, knowing.
Yeah.
But I can say that, again, the only thing that Crystal wanted to be was a mom. So seeing her in that essence is not something anyone should have to wrap their mind around.
No.
It shouldn't ever even come down to that point, in my opinion. She was in the process of like cleaning up her life, trying to do what was right for her and her daughter.
Yes.
And she was a known sex worker, drug user, and ran in similar crowds as the previous victims. So she had her demons, but she was trying to be
better.
And that's how
what she
matters.
Should be remembered, not
Yes.
by anything else.
No. Our next victim is Brittany Gary. Last seen on November 2nd of 2008. Her body was found November 15th of 2008. She was 17 years old. I personally remember this one because I was a year younger than her when she went missing. This one hurt my heart a bit, seeing that she was so young and still had a whole life ahead of her. She disappeared when I was 16, so she was a year older than I was. We were just babies. Brittany disappeared from the Family Dollar just blocks away from her house. When her body was found, it seemed that this was the only body that had shown any remorse with the way her body was positioned. With her hands clasped together underneath her head like she was sleeping. Her mother exclaimed she had the most beautiful eyes in the world to her. And when she saw her daughter's body, it reminded her of a traditional Mardi Gras mask. And if y'all don't know what that is, it's a mesh mask that goes over your face, right? And your eyes are painted into a way that they don't portray your actual eyes. And it makes them almost empty because you're just blank. Oop, didn't mean to do that. You're just kind of blank. Her eyes were gone and hollowed out with voided sockets. The reports say that she was verified by her tattoos, but her mother said there was no way that was possible because she was mostly bone when she seen her. There was nothing left to identify, which it's different for her because she was the only one that was allowed to actually get to see the body, and there was really nothing to that point of where you could identify her as. What blows my mind about this victim, as the youngest in the group, so to speak, no one wanted to bury her. She was literally a child. A child. She wasn't even legally 18 yet. But because she sought out the work that she did, it made her a Jezebel. So one preacher man took this and ran with it. He said that Jesus sat with sinners before saints, and he tried to martyr her in a way to make the town rise up for vengeance, kind of like a vigilante kind of thing. And I will say, out of all my sources, this mother wants answers more than anything I've ever seen. She's also admitted on documentaries that she thinks it was the police.
Me too.
I stand on that. Yeah.
The last victim of the Jeff Davis 8 is Nicole Guillory. Did I say it right?
Guillory.
I did.
You did?
Sorry, I'm excited. I don't ever get them right, and she yells at me.
I do.
Nicole was last seen on August 16th of 2009. Her body was found just 3 days later on August 19th. She was just 27 years old. Nicole's body was found in Acadia Parish, dumped off of I-10. She was found not long after the task force who was assigned to these cases was assembled. In our opinion, the reason for her being dumped in a whole other parish was simply because the task force was formed. They couldn't try to drop her right under their noses. And
they were running out of
chess
pieces to play in this game.
And fully believe it was a local ordeal, an inside job, so to speak. Her family spoke about how Nicole preferred being in the jailhouse because she knew she wasn't out on the street. She had a long history of drug abuse and had mental struggles, as well, such as, nervous tics. Her family talked about she was a loving person, especially when it came to her children. But she knew the only time she was clean was when she was locked up. She openly admitted to her mother that it's the police who is killing these women. Before Nicole was killed, she went on record naming names for what was going on in the jailhouse. Drugs in and out, sexual favors with guards, and so many other things along these lines.
Sickening.
Yes. It's also reported several different times that after this task force was formed, they were told that Nicole would be the next victim, and they did nothing.
Nothing. It's funny, whoever did this to these women, they were so close to being uncovered due to Nicole and the other women's bravery for speaking up against the wrongdoings that was happening. So which leads me to believe that the wrongdoings that were being done can make the crime go away. Cough, cough. Maybe she was onto something, let's be honest. So now that we have given each of the women the light that they deserve with their names coming back out, let's speak about the other pieces that play into this puzzle. The names that keep popping up in this investigation and all of our research. You have Sheriff Ricky Edwards, Officer Terry Gilry, Officer Jesse Ewing, Officer Danny Berry, Officer Warren Gary, Dr. Charles Bustani, Big G, and Frankie Richard.
Before she goes any further, I just want to emphasize the fact that 2 of these men share last names in relation to 2 of our victims.
Yes, very much so. But I will say this, the only one that has any fit into the correlation is Mr. Officer Warren Gary, because
yes.
Gilry is a very common name down
is
south.
It? Okay.
Yes. So that would be kind of like up here for y'all. I don't even know a common name for y'all, because y'all be saying some off the wall shit. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's different lineages. So for like down south, common names are like Fontenot, Richard, Gilry, Gidry. They're not.
Gotcha.
They're a wide. There's different branches to that. Okay. And all those names that you just hear is an extensive list of power. Like Dr. Charles Bustani, he was in politicians. He wanted to be, I can't remember if it was the state legislation or he was up there.
The legislation.
He was with the state. And then you've got your sheriff and all your officers. These are people that can push their weight around when it comes to that. So it's an extensive list of power, which is funny if you ask me. So now that that's been established, let's define the definition of a serial killer and a serial dumper.
To be clear, your former sheriff is the one who tried to say that it wasn't a serial killer, it was a serial dumper. And again, in my opinion, referring to it as a serial dumper, using the word dumper, you're classifying these women, again, as trash. And it's disgusting.
She said it there, folks. A serial killer is an individual who murders 2 or more people in separate, distinct events. These killings often include a cooling off period between incidents driven by psychological desires for power, control, sexual gratification, and rather than immediate profit or rage. A serial dumper is a type of serial murderer who, as a part of their methodical repeating pattern or modus operandi, systematically disposes of victims' bodies in specific locations or a specific manner to avoid detection. Now keep both of these definitions in your mind. Sounds familiar, don't it? Already. The sheriff of the time, Ricky Edwards, who served from 1992 to 2012, was a part of small-town politics as a well-loved, according to his peers, and I messed that up, but he was well-loved. Anyway.
by everyone except these victims' families.
You're not wrong. And when you have the title of a sheriff in a small town, you have the king of the hill mentality, right? Especially since he has several accusations of sexual misconduct with female inmates in the jailhouse, along with accusations of corruption, raggedy business. So, come at me, bro. Like, when all the murders were taking place, he said this was the shortcomings of a serial killer and seems more like a serial dumper, like she said earlier. A serial dumper. Is that a confession? A person of authority to revisit the crime scenes whenever you want. The bodies were dumped like trash on the side of the road. Lesser than humans. You talked about these women as high risk, and not once did you address them as human beings or individual. You had a way of making them seem so disposable. And as a history buff of all true crime, that sounds extremely fishy, because at any given point in time, you can go back and open up those files and be like, yeah, I did that. I'm not saying he did, and I'm not saying he didn't, but it sounds completely suspicious to me.
I'm going to say that I firmly believe that this man, these women had something on this man, and he knew it, and he either did it himself, or Mr. Let's throw the serial dumper theory out there, hired someone to kill these women and dump their bodies.
So he can consistently visit.
That's just my opinion, but I stand firm on that.
Allegedly.
I 100% think that this man had something to do with every single one of these women's murders.
Allegedly.
I said I believe, my opinion. It's alleged. Come at me, dude. You're down there, I'm up here. Sorry.
I love it. Love it. Let's shine light on his deputies and some of the questionable things that have taken place with these so-said deputies. I have a couple of officers that are cited throughout the investigation and all of my research that made me go like, this is too much to be circumstantial.
Yes.
Way too much to be circumstantial. And all these key players have been known abusers to the female inmates. Like, names have popped up in everything. And like, there is one record of like Nicole Gilroy coming out and saying that this man, I have slept with him behind bars. I have slept with this man behind bars. And that's crazy. Nicole was one of them. She started naming names directly, and that such matters that would make your grandmama blush. Like, no bullshit. Like, when we were watching and going through and actually seeing, she gave illicit details.
Yes, she did.
So let's add the names of the officers now. Terry Gilroy. He seems the most suspicious to me, just because like I look at him and his eyes are empty. Like, empty. There's no life behind him. There's like, you look into our eyes and we're like,
any feeling or anything.
Nothing. And I know I'm going to play devil's advocate. I know a job as a police officer, because I have family who are in the police force. Been in police force for years. It does take a toll on you. It does. Because you have to see things and then push past and know that you have to be okay for you and your family after it's all said and done, when those images stay with you. But when you look at somebody and just see that the emptiness is there, it's gut-wrenching. And the crazy thing is, like, I know who he is. I remember seeing him in his police cruiser in town. I remember being like, oh, there's that guy again. And like, being around, like, I remember, like, one of my vivid memories of this is I pulled up to the ShopRite in Jennings, which is a gas station. And it's got like all kind of souvenirs and stuff as soon as you walk in. I went to go pay for gas to put gas in my truck. And I remember seeing him sitting right there. And I just got like chills. Like, my whole body ran cold. And it just gave me a nasty feeling. Nasty. Most of the town sees him as a good old boy, willing to help anyone out at any given time. And it's been noted that he's helped these girls out for more than one occasion. And it's been noted that he has asked for things in return. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's false. It's just the rumor mill. The rumor mill states that he has a soft spot for troubled souls. I scratch your back, you scratch mine, if you catch my drift. He knew all of the victims professionally. Now again, rumor mill, privately too. Seems like a bit much to process when you listen to the small town gossip. But the town knows a lot too, just too much to get someone got it, I reckon. Terry refused interviews and comments to straighten out his part of this story. Terry's now ex-wife was also a part of the task force in helping Lou find the murderer or murderers, and doesn't seem too impressed about her ex nowadays. Like, at all.
Jesse Ewing, JPD, he conducted several interviews in an investigation that led to the discovery of the truck that moved hands and had so-called evidence that was in Kristen's death, which Warren Gary purchased.
Fun fact about that guy.
Yes.
He's kinfolk to my adopted sister.
Awkward.
Yeah.
Which Hannah Connor, who was in connection to Frankie Richard, said that she got all this, he said, she said, came in from an inmate that knew more than the whole story. Ewing handing all of this over to a PI, which he stated he didn't want it turned into local law enforcement because it would disappear. He was later charged with obstruction and malfeasance, which led to the end of his career. Danny Barry, a scumbag of the earth, a jailer in the Jeff Davis Parish, has been noted hunting and abusing inmates such as macing without cause, sexual abuse, and accused of having a sex dungeon, and was known to take sex workers there.
Which, it was an old raggedy trailer house on the outside of town. Like,
Yeah.
I'm talking about ran
Not
down.
just him, though. Him and his wife. Allegedly, his wife was a part of this, too.
Well, yeah, everybody knew that they were swingers.
Yeah, but they weren't just taking them. It's alleged that if one wouldn't agree to go with them, they would then drug these sex workers to take back with them.
Allegedly, yes.
Shady.
Now, Warren Gary, again, supposedly kinfolk. Supposedly, we're gonna leave it at that because ain't nobody claimed this fucker. The chief investigator with the sheriff's office he was a known racist. Like, everybody knew he was a racist. Like, he would throw the word out, and I'm going to keep it as the word. I'm not going to refer to the word, but, know this. I call her my adopted sister. She's a friend of the family. She's really close, whole 9 yards. And when he got into trouble over the pickup truck that supposedly carried Kristen Lopez's body, he only got a fine of $10,000 and then got put over the evidence room.
Not just that, though. He was also charged with malfeasance.
Yes.
Pled guilty. Removed from his position at the time, and then a couple, year or so later? Was it that long?
I don't think it was that long. I think it was like 6-7 months.
Regardless, just however long after that. Then you promote him to the head of an evidence room after you charged him with malfeasance for destroying and getting rid of evidence? Are y'all fucking stupid?
That doesn't make any sense to anybody.
Stupid.
You know his grandson killed him, murdered him, right?
Yep.
And you know he killed another person, right? His grandson?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was high on drugs, wasn't he?
Yes, very much so.
I think we talked about that one.
Yeah, we did. I'm just going to say this out loud for the people in the back. Dude gets over literally washing out evidence, right? And you're going to put Tweedlefuck in charge of the evidence room. I know if it walk like a duck, talk like a duck, it's a fucking duck. So why you going to put a Tweedlefuck in the evidence room?
Because they were all hiding something.
He can make it go away. More suspicious behavior.
Oh, yeah.
Dumbasses. All right. Now we have Charles Bustani, a Louisiana politician. Has been known to have been in contact with the owner of Boudreaux Inn, which that's Big G. I don't remember his actual name. I know him from his nickname. And Big G ran the inn, and that's where the girls would work at. And Bustani has also been known to visit the inn after he denied it, and a picture resurfaced. Like, I don't know if you've seen the picture.
Yes.
But the picture was in, like, a room. Like, I think it was kind of like a boardroom or something like that. And you can tell it was the Boudreaux Inn where they had it, because there's pictures of Big G in there, and there's all kind of other stuff. This is the same place that, again, the women did their work. And when asked of the women, he said he never visited or even known the place until a picture surfaced up and said he went there for something for a board meeting. So this is where it gets a little bit more suspicious to me, because, like, you know, you went there. You lied to everybody because you was in the middle of a political race trying to raise your status, which you did not. Thank goodness, because I'm sorry. I don't want you over anything I got if you gonna sit there and lie to me in bold-faced public. You went there. You got worked on by these girls. And that's fine. Do what you do. But you know you did it. Because no one just went there for no reason. I'm sorry, no one did. Play dumb with someone else, because you're not playing dumb with me. And at the time all this was coming out, with you running for that higher office, all it did was make you look even more guilty.
Yes.
So what are you trying to hide? That you had a love affair with a sex worker? Okay, so did a lot of other people's. Look at Bill Clinton, for instance. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
He got a Hummer, and you know he did.
Well, and okay, he can deny what was happening at this Boudreaux Inn all he wants. But earlier on when we talked about, was it Kristen?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, when Tracy Chasson tried to say...
Chasson, not Chasson. Chasson.
I'm gonna punch her in the face, dude. I'm not from Louisiana. I do my best, okay?
I'm proud of you for trying, but I'm going to correct you.
But anyway, the hotel room that she claimed her and Kristen went to meet Frankie Richard was at the Boudreaux Inn. So
I remember hearing about, I can't exactly remember what it was, but I remember hearing on the news that they did a major raid at the Boudreaux Inn when I was younger. It's been so long. I'm old.
Looking into this, there's several reports of frequent raids, police investigations, ranging from drugs to sex work at the Boudreaux Inn. It was known that that is what it was for.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sorry.
You're good. I enjoy the banter. Now we have Frankie Richard. The man, the myth, the pimp. Literally, guys, was a part of all the drug scenes, prostitution rings throughout Jennings. From all my investigations, he is the hardest to follow. Half the time, the dude is literally blitzed out of his mind. And the other half, he's taking the brunt of it from all the sides. Like, he's the fall man. He slung dope for cops. He sold his words. Now, I'm going to say this. This is in quotations. He slung the dope for cops. He sold the P word. I'm not going to say it. That made his money for the dope. So, like, he was a drug user. He sold drugs. He sold women. And he was using both sides to his benefit. What fit for Frankie is, I also believe that you could believe about 65% of the things that he was saying.
Yeah. When
you deal with somebody who's on drugs and so blitzed out of their mind, you never know what's coming out of their mouth. Like, you don't. You don't know if it's the truth, the facts, or them trying to cover their own ass. He's a known drug user, known drug dealer, and, like, drug abusers, they all play games that benefit them. And that's what he's known for.
Byron Chad Jones and Lawrence Nixon. Both of these men were arrested in Miss Patterson's murder. Charges were later dropped. This is why I think her case sounds a little different than the rest. Like, where the hell did these two come from?
Like, where did they fit in?
Yes, they are a little suspicious. Next, we have Hannah Connor. She has been said to be friends with Kristen their entire life, from children playing in the yard, all kinds of stuff. She was arrested in connection to her murder Then the charges were later dropped. Frankie Richard was also charged. They were both charged with second-degree murder. The charges were dropped. And then we also have Tracy Chasson. She, after she, alleged the things, Frankie Richard killing Kristen and Hannah assisting in that, she changed her story several times, but she was charged with accessory after the fact as well. And again, those charges were dropped as well.
Hearing all of this collectively together, it's a lot to undergo. It's a lot to sit here and form. It's a lot to give you any and all the details, even that we missed. So if there's things that you want to catch up with from us bringing to light these girls' names and stuff of that, there's different, documentaries you can go and listen to. There isn't many podcasts that will cover the Jeff Davis 8. I will say that. And the ones that they do, they don't bring a whole lot of light to
We probably listened to 2 good ones.
Yes.
Out of all of them. I mean, there's...
I think there was like 8.
There was like 8 or 9 of them. But in all honesty, there was only like 2 good ones. The other ones was a bunch of rambling in between that had nothing to do with the case, and it felt like they were just taking up time. So just be careful if you do go to listen, that you're listening to one that's worth your time.
Exactly. There is a book by Ethan Brown, I think his name is.
Yes.
It's
Murder on the Bayou.
Yes. I actually purchased this on Audible and listened to the whole book while we were doing this case. I think I listened to it in like a day and a half. And it definitely breaks down some things that are more intense as far as like what we even covered. He breaks it down from the American Press's standpoint, which is a local newspaper.
Yes.
He breaks it down to what the families actually say and do. So I suggest that you go listen to that one as well. In the forms of all of this, all the Jeff Davis 8 women were stated to be informants of Jeff Davis Sheriff's Department. All 8 ended up dead. Can't get access to their death records, which should be public knowledge. The rumor has it that this is something I have heard from being a native from the area, that all their fingertips were burned off with acid. I don't know if that's true.
Allegedly.
Don't know if that's true, and I don't know if it's false. I just know I remember hearing it through the rumor mill. Last but not least, this is why is it that not long after the deaths were recorded, the coroner, who was a beloved person of the society and the community, ends up committing suicide, and said he was tired of living a double life, and everyone who knew and loved him said he had no dirty secrets. He didn't have no skeletons in the closet, nothing like that. The coroner was found when he committed suicide in cross-dressing clothing, right? Yes, ma'am, sure was. Again, I'm not here to judge anybody if he did have a second life, but everybody who knows this man says that wasn't a thing. That was a part of trying to cover up what he knew.
Yeah.
And to throw something off the trail. It's hard to comprehend any of it because, like, it puts me in a standpoint of being biased on a lot of things and being like, no, I know this motherfucker did it, right?
Yes.
So I can't speak completely on it for the simple fact that there's aspects that I can't even name in here that wanted to come forward was like, I can't be a part of this.
Something that bugs me a lot is, so when this task force was formed, the community and a lot of the victims' families firmly believed that the authorities were involved to the extent that Sheriff Ricky Edwards made every single person who worked on these cases, on the task force, everything, do DNA tests to rule them out as having anything to do with these murders. And guess what? No one knows what those results were. In my mind, if I had to make all of my people do a DNA test to prove they had nothing to do with anything they're being accused of, why would you not release that when it came back that none of them did?
I'd put that out in public
Exactly.
immediately. Like, my guys are clean. Here's the paperwork.
Exactly. So either you're hiding the fact that they had something to do with it and you've covered it up for all these years, or you put it out there that they did it and they never actually fucking did it.
Allegedly.
Yes. Whatever.
I'm not getting sued.
It's just, if you can prove that your man had nothing to do with these murders, why not put the DNA, results out there? By not putting it out there, I'm not convinced that the DNA testing was ever actually done.
I don't blame you for thinking that, because honestly, it's crossed my mind too. It's a lot to sit there and comprehend, and it's a lot to have to dig into and being like, well, there's this possibility and there's that possibility. Yes. Okay, where's this going? Where's that going? And it's always something else and something more. And it's bothersome because these women, it's been over 20 years.
Well, and something, you go back to the Byron Chad Jones and the Lawrence Nixon, okay? The Lawrence's wife at the time, she takes a significant amount of time before she comes forward with her story of how
it all went down.
How Ernestine was murdered. If you're looking at police corruption the way I am, and them hiding so much, officers doing some shady things, I don't put it past them to get this woman to make up this story, because they literally make no sense anywhere.
They don't.
They don't fit into this story, at least in my opinion. I would not be surprised if there was an officer who allegedly paid this woman or did whatever, blackmailed her into making those accusations just to take the focus off of the JDS for just a little bit.
I don't think you're wrong on that. This is why I wanted to cover this case, is because there's so many angles you can honestly look at, and so many angles that go up, down, left, and right, and side to side. What are you supposed to do?
We're looking at 17 to 21 years from the last victim to the first victim on how long these cases have been unsolved.
And then there's
fucking
even
ridiculous.
Another victim.
Yes, that they believe might actually be the
original start.
Yes.
But there's nothing that they can confirm nor deny that puts her into the category of what is known as the Jeff Davis 8.
Well, not just that. There's the case of a shooting that happened just, months prior to the first victim, that several of the victims could be tied to either being at the scene when it happened, having a relative or someone they knew there that witnessed this supposed alleged bad shooting, comes out in the end with the, obviously their investigation that it was a good shooting, but it can be tied back to that too. There's so many different angles to this story that it just feels gross.
Not only does it feel gross, it feels like we are missing what's important here, because you can take so many angles and go into so many sides and being like, well, it's this, it's that, it's the other. But when you look at it, no matter what, you still have all these lives that are gone because of somebody else's lack of or knowledge or the ability to come forward.
There's 8 women that were murdered and countless people that are out there still mourning these women to this day because they have no answers.
None.
It's disgusting.
Very
they
much
deserve
so.
Justice. Their family deserves that sense of peace.
I agree wholeheartedly. And this whole crime stinks of corruption, right?
Yes.
Stinks of everything that is mankind. So my question is, what is Jeff Davis hiding besides drugs, sex, and murder? That's all stated in the obvious. What dirty secrets lay beneath the moss in that small little Cajun town? Like, if you know anything or come forward, you can message us. You can do all that stuff. If you have any ideas, you can send it to our inbox of bloodbeneaththemoss@gmail.com.
You can contact the Jeff Davis Sheriff's Department. You
Yeah.
can contact the FBI tip line. It's still active for this case. May not be a task force, but the tip line is still there.
In my opinion, I don't think contacting...
The JD is a good idea, but...
I'm not even saying that it's a good idea. I don't think it would get to the point of where it needed to be.
I don't know. From what I've read about the sheriff that's taken over, he seems to have done like a cleaning of the department.
Ivy Woods, I remember when he was running for election, and everybody, like, without a doubt,
loved him
and put it in. And it isn't because he was like a big name or anything. It was because he made promises.
And he stuck to them.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but most of them.
I've heard you talk about him a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm not one big for politics because, like, there's just certain things you don't talk about. But when you can make a step and make a things forward and go in what you say, like, stand 10 toes down on what you say you're going to do and do it, I stand behind that. Yes. And he started doing that. I haven't been home.
Yeah.
In years. So I can't say, like, I haven't even gone to my hometown of Welsh, and I couldn't tell you how long, honestly and truly. The last time I think I visited Welsh was like almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've been out of school for 15. So,
oh bitch.
Twat. Anyway, so that tells me right there that I have no love lost there, just because of everything that has been my experience of that Jeff Davis parish is trash. Yeah. I'm not saying everybody's trash, but
the people that covered this up and hid it is trash.
Facts. Anyway, thank you for joining us with this episode. Our next episode will air next Monday.
Yes.
And it will be Miss Abigail's episode. Thank you for helping me with mine today, because I was tongue-tied.
You are welcome. The next episode will be, just a little teaser, it will be about the murders of Mary Morris. Yes, I said murders, as in plural. 2 women, same name, same county, same state.
It gets interesting, to say the least. And then we might do a little something for you. Just depends, because we do have lives outside of this podcast.
But we're gonna try. We're aiming for it.
Can't make any promises, so I'm not gonna promise you that we will. But what we're doing is, like, because even some of these cases are bigger and they're still cold, but we have a lot of
smaller ones that don't have as much to them,
that we still feel like their name should be put out there. So what we'll do is we'll each do a small one.
And do it into one episode.
Yes.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you next week tuning in.
Thank you.
All the loves.
Bye.